Hi everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a brand new story to share with you. So let's begin. I was knee-deep in invoices when she came flying through the door like she'd just won the damn lottery. Babe, you are not gonna believe what I've planned for Saturday. Jenna's voice had that fake enthusiasm she used when she wanted something. Big eyes, too wide smile, hands fluttering like a pageant host on meth. I blinked at her from the kitchen table, one hand still on my calculator. What? She tossed her purse on the counter, didn't even wait for me to finish typing. Just trust me, okay? It's a surprise. Something important. I booked the Lakeshore conference room for 7 p.m. sharp. You have to be there. I stared at her for a second. The Lakeshore room? That generic rental space next to the dentist office? For what? I asked, already suspicious. She wiggled her fingers and said, Can't say. You'll see. Just dress decent and show up on time. It's important. She sounded like she was selling me a timeshare. Something about the way she said important made my neck stiffen. I knew that tone, like she'd practiced the pitch in the mirror before walking in. This wasn't spontaneous. It was staged. Okay, I said slow. 7 o'clock. Saturday. Got it. She beamed, kissed my cheek, and vanished upstairs like she'd nailed an audition. I watched her go and sat back in my chair. My gut was already grinding. That was the look she always got when she thought she was being clever. The last time I saw it was when she accidentally switched out my buddy's detailing appointment for her spin class instructor. Claimed it was a scheduling mix-up. Sure. Quick note. Before we get deeper into this story, drop a comment and let us know, where are you watching from? I tried to shake it off and went back to the bills, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. She wasn't just excited, she was acting. Something was off. Jenna hated surprises unless she was the one pulling them. And this one? She was clearly giddy about being in control. She didn't ask if I was free, didn't explain a thing, just gave me a date, a time, and that fake cheer she pulls out when she's cornered. Still, I didn't push. Not because I trusted her, just because I was tired. Tired of questioning everything. Tired of getting gaslit every time I raised a brow. I closed the laptop, left the receipts half-sorted, and cracked a beer. Whatever this surprise was, it wasn't for me. Saturday night. I came downstairs in jeans and a button-down, figuring decent meant what we'd wear to a dinner out. But Jenna was in full pageant mode. Hair curled, eyelashes thick, bright blue dress so loud it looked like it belonged under stage lights. She even wore heels, which she hadn't done in months. I stood there at the bottom of the stairs, just staring at her. Is this, like a formal thing? I asked. She smiled too fast. It's just a nice night. Come on. In the car, she barely said a word. Kept looking at her phone, tapping out texts and locking the screen, then unlocking it again like she was waiting for something. You're acting jumpy as hell, I said. She forced a laugh. I'm just excited. Don't ruin it. Just follow my lead, okay? I didn't respond. I just drove. When we pulled into the lot next to the Lakeshore building, I knew this wasn't going to be good. There were a dozen cars already there. I parked, and she was out the door before I even shut off the engine. We walked in together, but she was 2 steps ahead of me the whole time. The conference room was just as bland as I remembered. Beige carpet, folding chairs, stale air. But it was packed. 30 people, maybe more. Her coworkers from the marketing firm were near the back. I spotted 2 of the girls from her spin class standing near the snack table. Some neighbors. And, oddly, her brother Scott, who I hadn't seen in months. They all looked up as we walked in, and Jenna turned to me with that same too bright smile. Just hang back for a sec, she whispered. Then she marched right up to the front where a little mic and speaker setup had been wheeled in. I stood by the door, arms crossed, just watching. Something was wrong. This wasn't a surprise party. No decorations, no balloons, no music. Just people milling around awkwardly with paper plates and forced smiles. She tapped the mic. It squealed. Hey, everyone. Her voice came out shaky at first, then steadied. Thank you for coming. I know this was a little last minute, but I wanted to share something really important with the people in my life. People clapped politely. I still hadn't moved. She took a breath, looked around the room, then locked eyes with me. For too long, she said, I've lived inside a box. A box of expectations, obligations, routines. And I've realized, committed relationships are a trap. Some nervous laughs. My stomach dropped. I'm tired of pretending everything's fine just to keep up appearances, she went on, eyes glossy, voice stronger now. I want more. I want to live freely. So I'm embracing change. I'm embracing truth. I'm embracing freedom. More clapping. A few people glanced at each other. Her brother shifted uncomfortably. She smiled, proud of herself. As of today, I'm officially single again. That's when I got it. The whole thing snapped into focus. This wasn't about sharing some journey. This was a stunt. A performance. She brought me here to watch her declare her freedom like it was a TED Talk. Like she was brave. Like this was some kind of empowerment speech, not a cheap shot in front of an audience she'd stacked in advance. She wanted me to react. To blow up. To get desperate. She wanted public proof that I cared so she could play the victim when I lost it. Instead, I just stared at her. I didn't move. Didn't blink. The clapping died down. A few people cleared their throats. She was still holding the mic, eyes darting back to me now, looking for the scene she thought she'd trigger. I turned around and walked out. Didn't say a damn word. I heard her voice calling my name behind me. Still through the mic. Still part of the show. I didn't even look back. Just kept walking out to the parking lot. Keys in my hand, heart steady. The air was cool. Smelled like someone nearby had just lit a cigarette. My truck door slammed harder than I meant it to. I didn't care. I sat down, started the engine, and drove. No music. No talking. Just the road and the low hum of my tires under streetlights. By the time I got home, it was 8:30. I hung my keys, went straight to the liquor cabinet, poured 2 fingers of whiskey into a short glass, and stood in the kitchen drinking it. And for the first time in a long damn time, I felt clear. Not angry. Not heartbroken. Just done. She didn't come home that night. I knew she wouldn't. She thought I'd call. That I'd chase. Maybe cry. Apologize for not fighting harder. That was the whole point, wasn't it? To bait me into a scene she could twist around later. But she misread the room. And she definitely misread me. By 10 the next morning, I was making calls. First the bank. Froze the joint account. Opened a new one under just my name. I moved the business funds first. Then the household. Next, the health insurance. Pulled her off the plan. Sent the forms in. No emotion. Just steps. Then I called the locksmith. By noon, the guy showed up in a dusty van, changed the front and back locks. I gave him a cash tip and told him to toss the old keys. After that, I grabbed 4 cardboard boxes from the garage and started packing her things. Not trashing them. Not tossing stuff in a rage. Just folding neatly. Shoes, purses, makeup from the bathroom drawers. I didn't pause. Didn't look at old photos. Didn't play sad music or fall apart. She wanted to be single in front of a crowd? Fine. She could start now. Around 2, the phone lit up. Her name flashed across the screen. I answered on the second ring. Yeah. You changed the locks? Her voice was sharp, almost panicked. Seriously? I did. You froze the account. I did that too. You can't just. Jenna. I cut in. You stood in a rented room and announced you were done with our marriage. To 30 people. With a microphone. And snacks. I was trying to make a point. No. I said, calm as ever. You were trying to perform. There was a pause. You think I was performing? She said, like the idea offended her more than anything else. You rehearsed it, Jenna. The dress, the speech, the guest list. You picked a crowd that would clap instead of ask questions. That's not honesty. That's theater. You didn't even say anything, she snapped. You just walked out like some smug. Because I didn't know the moment anything, I said. You wanted a reaction, not a conversation. You wanted a meltdown. You didn't get one. That's on you. You're being cold. No, I said. I'm just finally responding in private the way you acted in public. Neatly, clearly, without pretending. She went quiet. Your stuff's in the garage, I said. Come get it whenever. Just text first. Then I hung up. I went back to the living room, poured another whiskey, and turned on the ball game. I didn't look at my phone again the rest of the day. Around 1:30 Sunday afternoon, I heard a car door slam outside. I looked through the blinds, and there she was. Same bright blue dress, same curls, heels clicking up the front path like nothing had changed. Except now, her mouth was tight, and her eyes were full of fire. I opened the door, but didn't step aside. Just leaned on the frame with one hand on the knob. She didn't even try to fake a smile this time. You changed the locks? Yeah. You're unbelievable. You said you were single. I figured that included your key privileges. She let out a bitter laugh. So that's it. You're just locking me out of my own house. Not your house anymore, Jenna. That speech was pretty clear. She tried to push past me, but I didn't budge. She hit my chest with her hand. Not hard, just dramatic. Move. No. Her face twisted. You're acting like I cheated or something. You made a room full of people watch you throw me away like a bad habit. You humiliated me in front of my neighbors, your coworkers. Hell, even your own brother looked embarrassed. She folded her arms and huffed. It wasn't about that. I was making a point. I needed to know if you even cared anymore. I barked out a laugh. So the plan was, throw a breakup party and see if I cry? What is this, high school? You've been distant for months, she snapped. You don't listen, you don't ask questions. You could have said that like an adult. You wanted a reaction, not a resolution. Big difference. Her voice cracked. I just wanted you to show up. To fight for us. You just walked away. And you announced that you didn't want us. So yeah, I walked. Because you answered your own question. And I gave you mine right back. She looked down for a second, jaw clenched. Then she glanced behind me into the house. I need to get my stuff. Garage. I stepped out just enough to point. 4 boxes. Labeled. Nothing's damaged. You're not gonna let me in? Nope. She tried again to step forward, fast this time, but I caught her by the arm and turned her gently but firmly back toward the porch. You don't get to perform your way back in, Jenna. You wanted a stage. You got one. I'm not part of the encore. For a second, she just stared at me. Then she stormed off, heels stabbing the sidewalk like she was punishing the concrete. I closed the door behind her and locked it. By Sunday night, my phone was already lit up like a slot machine. 5 missed calls, 7 texts, 2 voicemails I didn't even bother opening. Monday morning? It tripled. Can we talk? You're blowing this out of proportion. Please just pick up. 1 full paragraph that started with, I was trying to shake us out of our rut. I read a few, deleted the rest. By noon, the messages started coming from other people. First was a guy named Brent, her coworker, the one with the gelled hair and loafers no one asked for. He texted me out of nowhere. Hey man, I didn't know she was going to do all that. That was brutal. Sorry you had to go through that. Then a girl named Kylie from her gym group. She's been acting weird for weeks. I honestly thought it was like performance art or something. I didn't answer anyone. Just screenshotted the texts and saved them to a folder. The kicker came Tuesday around 4. I was pulling weeds from the side yard when I heard a car engine cut off too quick out front. I came around the corner, and there they were, Jenna and her sister Tara, standing at the curb like they'd practiced the entrance. Jenna had her hair pulled back, no makeup this time, wearing jeans and a hoodie like she wanted to look relatable. Tara stood beside her, arms crossed tight, already in defense mode. I didn't say a word, just met them halfway down the driveway. Can we come in? Jenna asked, voice soft, trying the vulnerable angle. No. It was a mistake, she said. That whole night. I wasn't thinking clearly. I thought it would come across differently. You planned it, I said flat. No, she said quick. Not like that. I just wanted to get your attention. I wanted you to feel publicly ambushed. I offered. Tara jumped in, stepping forward. Okay, I'm not saying she handled it well, but you're making this way more dramatic than it needs to be. I tilted my head. Really? She didn't know it would go that far. Tara kept going. I told her not to do it, but then she froze. Realized what she just said. I locked eyes with Jenna. You ran it by her? Jenna flinched. Tara looked like she wanted to disappear. So it wasn't impulsive, I said. You workshopped it. Picked a date. Booked the venue. Made a guest list. Okay, but I didn't mean for it to hurt you. Jenna snapped, finally letting her real voice through. I laughed once sharp. You just thought I'd grovel on cue? That I'd melt down in front of your little peanut gallery so you could feel powerful again? Tara tugged Jenna's arm. Let's go. Jenna stood there a second longer, eyes glossy, but I wasn't offering her anything. No softness. No window. I stepped back, pointed to the garage. Your stuff's still there. I'll be home all week. Just text before you grab it. Then I turned and walked back to the side yard. Behind me, I heard Tara mutter something like, I told you. The car doors shut. Engine started. They drove off. And right there, in the middle of a dirt patch and half a bag of mulch, it all locked into place for me. She hadn't slipped. She'd scripted it. And I was done giving her any more stage time. By Wednesday, the silence from her side was louder than any apology. But I wasn't surprised. She was working the social circuit. I could feel it. Only this time, people weren't eating it up like she'd hoped. I started getting texts from people I hadn't heard from in months. One guy from our neighborhood poker nights messaged, Hey, didn't realize what actually went down. You free to hang out this weekend? A couple from her spin class sent a group invite to trivia night. First time they'd included me solo. Even Brent, the gel-haired co-worker, followed up with, "You handled that better than I would've." That was rough to watch. It was like the clapping had stopped and the fog was lifting. People were waking up to how messed up the whole thing was. I didn't fish for sympathy, didn't need a pity party, but I could tell the vibe had shifted. Folks weren't tiptoeing around like I was some wounded animal anymore. They were treating me like I was finally unshackled from whatever circus Jenna had been running behind the scenes. Thursday morning, I hit my usual cafe downtown. Same black coffee, same corner table. I was halfway through checking emails when I noticed someone standing beside me. "Hey," a voice said soft. I looked up and saw Danielle, one of Jenna's old college friends. She'd been there that night. I remembered the red nails and how loud she clapped. I didn't say anything, just waited. She cleared her throat and slid into the chair across from me without asking. I shouldn't have supported it. Still, I said nothing. She let out a breath. "Look, I thought it was going to be one of those empowerment things. Like a girl boss speech or whatever. I didn't know she'd set you up like that." It felt gross halfway through, and I froze. I should have left. I nodded once. "But you didn't." "No." I stayed. And I clapped. And I felt like crap about it since. There it was. An actual apology. I looked her in the eye. It was never about the clapping. It was about the silence that came before it. Every single person in that room knew it was weird, and no one said a word. Danielle winced. "You're right. I'm sorry." I nodded again. "Thanks." She stood up. "If you ever need anything, just let me know." I didn't say I would. I just went back to my coffee. As she walked out, I leaned back in my chair, feeling something I hadn't felt in weeks, weight shifting off me. Not because she apologized, but because the world around Jenna was starting to crack. The applause she lived for was fading, and I didn't have to lift a finger to make it happen. Friday night, I was posted up at O'Malley's with a couple guys from the shop and one of our new techs, Devin. Wings, beers, TVs on every wall. It felt normal again. Easy. I was halfway through telling a story about a guy who brought his minivan in with a live raccoon under the hood when Devin's eyes flicked over my shoulder. Dude," he said, lowering his voice. I turned, and there she was. Jenna, in boots and a tight sweater, walking in like she belonged. Right behind her was her sister and two of those polished, over-accessorized friends she always used for backup. Her eyes locked on me, dead center of the bar. I leaned back, exhaled slow. "Here we go." She didn't hesitate, just walked straight to our table, like we were about to have a sweet little rom-com reunion in front of my coworkers. "Can I talk to you?" she asked. "Just 5 minutes. Please." Everyone at the table went quiet. Even the game audio seemed to fade out behind us. I took a sip of my beer, didn't stand, didn't flinch. Just motioned to the guys. "This is Jenna," I said calmly. The woman who announced she was single at a rented conference room last Saturday. Her face went pale, then flushed deep red. Devin blinked. "Wait, that story? That's real?" I nodded. "Very." Jenna's mouth opened, then shut. The girls behind her looked like they suddenly regretted tagging along. Her sister stared at the floor. "Okay," Jenna said finally, trying to smile. "I deserve that. But can we talk somewhere private?" I stayed in my seat. You had your moment. With a mic, a crowd, and catered cheese trays. Remember? She glanced at the guys, then back at me, voice dropping. "I just need 5 minutes without the audience." I shook my head. "You chose the audience, Jenna. I just happened to be in the front row." One of the other guys leaned back in his chair, clearly uncomfortable. I could feel them all realizing who she really was now. "I didn't mean for it to blow up like this," she said, forcing her voice to stay light. "This is just a misunderstanding." I raised an eyebrow. "Of what? Definitions? You said officially single in front of 30 people. Not exactly a metaphor." Her face twisted. "You're trying to humiliate me." "No, I'm just letting you stand in the spotlight you built." She looked around the table, at the guys who wouldn't meet her eyes anymore. "This is cruel." I stood up, finally. Not to follow her, just to end it. "No, Jenna, what you did was cruel. This is you finally getting treated like the version of yourself you were proud to be on Saturday." She turned toward the door, jaw tight. Her friends trailed behind like they were walking out of a funeral. Her sister stopped halfway, turned to say something, then thought better of it and kept going. We watched them walk out. I sat back down and took a drink. The silence at the table lingered for a beat. Then Devin let out a low whistle. "Man," he said, "that's cold." "No," I said, setting my glass down. "That's earned." By Saturday morning, it felt like I was under siege. First came the flowers. 3 dozen roses dropped off at my front door. No note, just a card that said, "Still us." I dumped them straight into the trash can. By noon, a goddamn singing telegram showed up. Some college kid in a tuxedo shirt singing an off-key version of "Let's Stay Together," while my neighbor watched from his porch holding a mug of coffee and trying not to laugh. I shut the door in the kid's face and went back to my coffee like nothing happened. That afternoon, she lit up social media. Long, rambling posts about love, healing, growth. A photo of us from 2 years ago with some caption like, "Sometimes you don't realize what you had until it's gone." Comments poured in. Half people calling her brave, the other half asking what the hell was going on. I blocked her on everything. But she wasn't done. That night, I got a call from my mom. "She's hurting," she said. "You could at least hear her out." She wasn't hurting when she had a damn microphone in her hand. "She made a mistake," my mom pushed. "Haven't you ever?" "Not when I printed invitations for," I said, and hung up. Sunday morning, I caught her standing in the frozen section of my grocery store, pretending to compare frozen peas. She didn't even shop there. She turned and gave me this shocked face like, "Oh wow, what are the odds?" I turned right around and walked out. Monday, she showed up at my gym. Didn't even try to work out. Just sat on the bench near the exit, scrolling her phone and glancing up every 5 seconds like she was waiting for me to suddenly come crawling. By Tuesday, I started ignoring unknown numbers. One left a voicemail, some shaky voice claiming she had a family emergency and needed help. I checked the transcript, rolled my eyes, and deleted it. But Tuesday night, I cracked. She sent a message through one of her friends saying she hadn't been eating, hadn't been sleeping. Said something was wrong. Said she was at her sister's house and might need help. I drove over. I don't know why. Maybe part of me wanted to believe she'd come to her senses, that this circus was over. Tara answered the door in sweatpants, holding a spoonful of peanut butter. "She's fine," she said, not even surprised to see me. "She's in the guest room." I told her not to play games. I walked down the hall, and there Jenna was, curled up on the edge of the bed, fake crying like a soap opera. "You came," she whispered, like we were in some kind of movie. I leaned on the doorframe. Cut the act. She wiped under her eyes, smearing what little makeup she had left. "I can't eat. I can't sleep. I feel like I'm going crazy." "That's what consequences feel like," I said. She stood up fast and reached for my arm. "I messed up, okay? I wanted to get your attention. I didn't think you'd shut me out." I pulled my arm away, calm. "You chose the applause over me. That was the deal." She blinked. "What deal?" "The one you made the second you booked that room and handed out invitations. You picked public praise over private honesty. You don't get both." Her shoulders dropped. "So that's it?" "Yeah," I said. "That's it." I turned and left. As I walked past Tara in the hallway, she just shook her head. "Told her not to do it," she muttered. I got in my truck, shut the door, and sat there for a second before driving off. No anger, no pain, just a quiet, steady peace that told me I wasn't looking back. About a month later, I was on the couch with a blanket, hot coffee, and an old Clint Eastwood movie playing low on the TV. The rain outside was hammering the roof like it was trying to prove a point. It was the kind of night you don't want anyone bothering you. But right around 10, I saw a movement through the front window. I stood up, walked over, and looked through the glass. It was her, soaked to the bone, hair plastered to her face, jacket clinging to her like it weighed 50 pounds. She raised one hand, tapped the door with her knuckles. Not pounding, just soft, desperate knocks like she was hoping I'd already be reaching for the knob. I didn't move. She leaned in, pressed her forehead to the wood, and said, "Please, just 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking." I stared through the curtain. She didn't look dramatic anymore. No makeup, no performance. Just wet, cold, empty. And I felt nothing. No anger, no pride, no thrill, just nothing. She stepped back and looked up toward the window, squinting through the rain. "I know you're in there," she said. "Just talk to me. I miss you. I was wrong." Still, I didn't move. She hugged herself tight and sat down right there on the wet porch, her back against the wall, knees pulled to her chest. She stayed there For 10 minutes. Then 20. I stood a few feet back, arms crossed, just watching the clock and listening to the storm. She rocked slightly, head down, drenched from head to toe. She didn't yell, didn't cry, didn't text, just waited. Another half-hour passed. Finally, I heard her stand up, her boots sloshing on the concrete. She walked back to her car like every step was dragging her deeper into the ground. I waited until the headlights disappeared. Then I turned off the lamp, locked the door again out of habit, and sat back down on the couch. The coffee was still warm. The movie was still playing, and I didn't think about her once. A few months later, I heard she moved to Arizona. Her sister mentioned it to a neighbor who mentioned it to me. Apparently, she's starting over. New city, new job, new people who don't know what she did. That's fine. Let her try. Let her spin her version for strangers who weren't in the room that night. Every now and then, someone will ask me if I ever think about going back. If I regret not giving her a second chance. I don't. Trust that gets broken in public can't be fixed in private. It doesn't work that way. The damage was done out loud. There's no quiet patch job for that. She chose applause over honesty. A moment of attention over a lifetime of partnership. And I didn't fight it. I just stepped out of the spotlight she dragged me into. And honestly, I like the quiet. I like my space, my schedule, my clean countertops. I like waking up on Sunday mornings and not having to tiptoe around someone else's mood. I like knowing peace isn't something I have to earn with silence. I didn't lose anything. I watched someone throw everything away, and I let them. Sometimes people say I was cold, that I could have forgiven her. That love means being willing to work through the hard stuff. I just nod and sip my drink. And when they really push, when they want me to explain how I could walk away so completely, I tell them the truth. She wanted to be single so bad she threw a party for it. I just respected the theme. Would you have let her back in after what she did, or closed the door for good? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you like this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more.